Today we're doing a driving tour of Vancouver, Washington. This behind the scenes look at what Vancouver, Washington is really like is a video you're not gonna wanna miss, because we're gonna spend an hour driving all over Vancouver, giving you insights as a real estate agent about what Vancouver's like, all of the pockets, all of the neighborhoods from a seasoned pro. Let's get going and tour all these beautiful neighborhoods. So we're actually starting where Vancouver did, which you're gonna see two different screens. Tons of people walking their dogs out today as the sun's going down. Beautiful fall evening. We're gonna try to get into some back roads to show you the fall colors in Vancouver. But this is the Fort Vancouver historical site. So we'll drive around this downtown historic site in Vancouver here and show you kind of a really cool area. Then we'll go to the waterfront and show you what driving through the downtown Vancouver waterfront's like. And by the way, if you're new here, I am Tim Jackson. I'm a real estate agent. I'm licensed in Washington. I'm also licensed in Oregon. So the really cool thing about myself, not only have I lived in the area for going on 25 years, I served in the National Guard in the area and did a lot of cool missions serving our community in this area. So super involved. Got 3 kids that go to school, 2 younger ones that are about to. But yeah, just very involved. Really love doing these videos for you guys. So not only am I a real estate agent with all these 5-star reviews here, but I have a YouTube channel right here where I do videos every week. So if you're looking for content like this, where you're wanting to get to know either whether it be Vancouver or Portland or the suburbs in Portland, like, you know, Clackamas County and Washington County, feel free to hit that subscribe button to get to know the area. So here is Pearson Airfield just to our right. Serena, if you want to pan out and show us out that window, and you can zoom in on that, on the one. So that's Pearson Airfield, which Vancouver doesn't have a major airport. If you're flying in from out of state, whether that be, you know, California, Arizona, have a lot of people moving from that area, but lots of people moving from Texas as well. You're not going to be flying into the Pearson airstrip. That's more of a recreational area. It's not the largest airport at all, more like fixed wing aircraft, stuff like that. Are we on the half zoom? Check out this house just right here. Mediterranean style, really crazy. Yeah, you're good, Serge. You can focus on me. We've got a camera going out front as well, so we'll be showing you both camera angles at the same time. You can see out to my left of the car camera that we've got these awesome fall colors starting to set in. Some trees show it more than others. And you can see that we're driving through the Fort Vancouver National Site. You know, I used to run cross country, and there was a huge cross country race that would happen here. These are all the old officers' barracks just off to the right here. Officer row housing, I guess you'd call it. Some beautiful craftsmen with front porches. And you can see that this is just a beautiful place to be to walk your dogs. You've got people walking off to the right here. Beautiful little party happening. Family photo session, it looks like. Really cool. Beautiful historic homes. That's the Marshall House. Groundskeeper here. Oh, what a beautiful place to drive through, walk through, you know, go on a date night, take the family out on on the bikes and stuff. Now, obviously, like, this is a very particular type of Vancouver housing. We're going to get through some other neighborhoods later on in this video, and I'm going to really show you the wide diversity of, like, the housing options in Vancouver. This is definitely going to be one of the longer videos where, you know, if there's a little bit of silence, just to really show you the stunning beauty of this area. I am totally fine with that. Let's hook and by the way, I've got 2 different phones hooked up. There's the Clark County Public Utilities building. I've got 2 different phones hooked up, but the big thing to know is that I don't have Google Maps right now, which is totally fine because I don't want to take you on the freeways. ultimately what I want to do in this video is more take you from the back roads, but just while we're here, I do want to talk about the different freeways and the options. So obviously we're going to start with the I-5 and I-205 bridges. I think my handy dandy editor can also throw a map as I explain this, but you've got I-5 and 205 that create an arrow, and then you've got two highways that actually connect some other areas. So you've got Highway 14, which goes along the river and takes you to Camas and Washougal, but then you've got 500 that splits the arrow kind of more in the middle, and that takes you from West Vancouver into East Vancouver, and then it splits up and takes you into Brush Prairie and Battleground area. And then where I-205 and I-5 meet, they then continue up and merge on and just become I-5, or the 5 as some people in California call it. And that takes you up to Ridgefield and beyond, Woodland, all the way up to like Longview. Eventually you would make it to our bigger sister city, which is Seattle. Now, obviously, Vancouver, you're going to see in the car camera on the left a Welcome to Vancouver sign incorporated in 1857. We're going through the downtown section, which is a blend of historic and modern. Vancouver is one of the first major cities in this part of the Pacific Northwest that has decided to just take the bull by the horns and revamp the downtown area. I've been to Spokane where they really revamped it, very similar. But you haven't seen that in Portland yet. You haven't seen that in some of the suburbs where they're talking about doing it. Maybe you see it in some of the newer suburbs, like maybe Wilsonville, Lake Oswego's got a spruced up downtown, but really Vancouver's got the newest, the most modern, and really like they put their money where their mouth is, and they just went out and did it. So we're coming down 15th Street here. Like most little downtown grids, I mean, downtown Vancouver by itself probably represents like less than 5% of Vancouver as a whole. It's not that many blocks. We're actually going to get to the waterfront here, and you're going to see that it's not that big of an area. We're kind of driving down most of it. I'm going to follow the bridge here, and we'll shoot out onto the waterfront. And then we'll circle back up and drive up into the Felida area after that, which will be fun. You see that so that's the Hough neighborhood. So if you want to zoom in and just show us the Hough neighborhood, you'll see that we're actually in the division where the historic neighborhoods, residential, are right there. And now we're turning and we'll go towards the Columbia River. We're headed south towards Portland. We should be passing by Esther Shore Park. Public Service Center. The library is just down over there. Downtown Vancouver Library is really beautiful. Looks like a security guard or a police officer just strolling around. But, from what you hear about the downtown of Portland specifically, like, Vancouver does see some of it. That's the courthouse there. I've always found it funny that the bond house or whatever, where they sell bonds, is right across the street. Makes sense. I mean, where else would you have it? Historic little brick areas. Let's hook a left and then go right. So we're heading east now. If you go west, you're going to hit Vancouver Lake. Vancouver Lake into Fruit Valley. Fruit Valley's like historically not been that desirable of a neighborhood. It's down where all the commercial, like trucking, like the Frito-Lay have a warehouse down there. And so people will go down there to Vancouver Lake, but that's like probably a 30-minute drive altogether. and I would rather show you more neighborhood than go out that far. But if you were to be here, you could push out, just to give you an idea, you could push west, and really the only thing over there is that small neighborhood of Fruit Valley into the commercial areas, and then you'd hit the Vancouver Lake. So to my right on the car cam here, we've got Esther Shore Park. So you can show it too if you don't mind. Some big historic trees. Beautiful park. There's a splash pad that goes on during the summer there. And you're going to see the I-5 bridge sort of towering up it's the bridge that lifts for all the ships. They're actually getting ready to redo it soon. Lots of apartments and condos that are coming up as you get closer to the water. We'll drive down Waterfront Way, and then we're going to hook around. There's a train going overhead. This is where you're going to see a lot of my videos are done. So this is the Terminal 1. You keep going down that way, there's some 55 plus condos over there, so actually really affordable. There's also some $1 million plus condos. Right in front of me to the left is AC Hotels. So if you're looking to stay here, this would actually be my starting point. You can see some people walking their dogs to the left. And now Hotel Indigo's another great, just in front here is another great hotel I suggest. And this is probably the most active part of Vancouver. Vancouver, for the most part, is a very sleepy town. And you're going to see that even though we're at 5:50 p.m., to give you an idea, the sun's starting to go down. We showed 3 different homes. Come on, Tesla, I definitely stopped first. Well, we got a camera recording in case nobody believes me. So, okay, these people are protesting ICE. That's interesting. So, you've probably seen the ICE protests in Portland. This is a much more peaceful version of it, and even the Portland ones have kind of been blown up by the mainstream media. But there's nobody being too crazy. Everybody's there's a winery right here, Shireen, that you want to show. And you can see that this is just a chill. I've got 61 degrees on my car's reader right now. So 61 degrees. You see an old MG convertible right there. Or no, that's an old Fiat. So yeah. You can kind of sometimes have some kind of cool cars. Maybe somebody brings in the weekend cruiser on a Friday night. This is a Friday evening. And this is probably one of our last, more moderate days. We're in early October here. Wildfin is right here. Great restaurant. You've got the Waterfront Tap House. You can show the restaurants. You're going to see a lot of my face, so we can definitely show some of the restaurants. You've got the Shack, which is a way too expensive milkshake bar out here. And where was I going? This is probably going to be one of the last moderate evenings where people are out walking. I brought a sweater, like a pullover, but you honestly don't need it. It's just nice enough that you can still feel pretty good. We'll start dropping into the 40s and 50s and get a decent chunk of rain. Now you can actually see if you zoom in on this camera. You don't have to zoom in. Oh, it's not going to let me. But if you were to look further down, you can see that it turns industrial there. And that's where Fruit Valley starts. And I shoot a lot of my videos from this downtown waterfront area. Really beautiful place to be. It's definitely a good ground place to start if you're just kind of wanting to get your toes dipped into the Vancouver market. Then definitely start here. And we're going to push north now. And we'll push up through some of the historic neighborhoods. We're a lot closer to I-5 right now. So most people, if they were trying to get somewhere fast, like if they were just trying to go from here up to Felida or Hazel, Dell, or the Starcrest neighborhood, then they would immediately push up onto I-5 and just shoot that way, jump onto the I-5, and then they would be on their way. We're going to drive through some of the historic neighborhoods for you. We've got a good 35 minutes. Well, these guys are shooting car. Let's give them a hang loose. Car people are my people. Shooting a Mercedes C63 MG, it looks like. Not a bad car. So you see some small, I mean, you might see some airplanes in the background. I don't know how much the iPhone picks up. Now, I'll try to point out some things that might be more unsightly. Like, I want this to be an honest review of Vancouver, not just what I want to show you. I'm going to try to show you as much as possible, a wide swath. You're at the Columbian right here, which is Vancouver's largest, and I really should say only, newspaper. There was actually some tents down there, so, you know, we've seen a little bit of downtown Vancouver. And the thing you should know about it is that it's not completely cut off from what Portland is like. Like, you're definitely gonna get some homeless. Vancouver, in some ways, is kind of like Portland 15 years ago. Like, smaller city with big city feel, or kind of like a big town with very big people, very big personalities, but still that hip, fresh, like artistic bend where people aren't super stiff. They're pretty chill and laid back. Like, still the craft beer scene, you know, people love their coffee out here. Cool little painting here. So these are just a bunch of like small mom and pop residential offices. It's interesting. That's some sort of federal building. And I'd be curious why they were protesting over, I guess the waterfront's probably more visible, but the federal building is where I know. I mean, it's a federal building. I don't know what purpose it serves. So we're hooking back around. And we'll start shooting north through the Hough neighborhood. And the light is gonna start giving up, so I'm gonna try to get as much of this tour done as possible. I think we'll get all the way through Vancouver. And we'll stay tuned for a local treat that we'll be giving the cameraman at the very end of the video. We're only at 20 minutes in, and this is gonna be like, feel free to go make a cup of tea, or you're watching this in the morning, make a cup of coffee, settle in. You know, this is going to be a nice journey. So we're coming through the Hough neighborhood. You can see it on the car cam to the right. And we're going to actually zigzag through a couple of these neighborhoods. So if you want to look out for some tree canopies, I really want to show people what it's like to just slowly drive through some of these nice historic neighborhoods. You can see these trees are really prominent. That's a nice one. Was that a nice one?
Yeah, I think that's the one we did last time in another video.
We hooked that way. So we had gone to the right. You see this nice little park over on the right side? Again, like lots of dogs. Maybe if you watched last week's video, we saw that $1.2 million new construction that literally had a dog bath built into the garage, like specifically for a dog bath, and nothing else. So yeah, really unique. We've still got plenty of historic neighborhood to make it through. There's probably like another 30 or 40 blocks of historic neighborhoods here. Was that one the one we went down? So this is 4th Plain. It's one of the first main roads that cuts through all of Vancouver. So 14 cuts through, 4th Plain does, Mill Plain does, 500 does. And then you get into the numbers. Like after 500, you get into a lot of cross-section streets that are both numbers. So we actually lived really close to 99th and Highway 99. So it was like 99 and 99 in Hazel, and so those cross numbers can get extremely confusing. Let's hook a right now, just really quickly. And you can see out the window, out the car cam, all these colors that are changing. We're in the historic Hough neighborhood. And you can see there's all sidewalks on the side. All of these homes were built no later than the 50s. Every once in a while, they'll tack in a new construction where there's like an empty lot. But for the most part, these are very established. You would almost think of this as like kind of like a tack on to Portland itself. Not from like necessarily a little bit of the cultural, beautiful like historic colonial right there. You get like all the colonials, the craftsmen, even some Victorians here. Those cool little pillars. But this would almost be an extension of Portland, and then it's just a historic, established neighborhood, similar to Alameda, Laurelhurst, Ladd's Addition, Mount Tabor, all of those historic neighborhoods where people kind of go gaga for the home, and they put a lot of money and care into the homes. And then as you go further north, you start seeing more 40s and 50s homes. Now, I believe we're on St. John's Road here. Actually, heard on the radio there was a house fire on St. John's on 109th. No, this is Main Street, which turns into St. John's. A lot of old historic churches out here. This unique commercial building on the right. Not the prettiest building, if you ask me. Kind of looks like a stunted skyscraper. And Minnehaha, as you go in, Minnehaha, 4th Plain, 500, which lead to Vancouver Mall, tend to be some less, how would I say it? Like, not less desirable perchance, but definitely more, how would I say it? Like, a little bit more up and coming. Definitely, if you look at like the crime map, for example, its statistics, you would see that there's definitely a little bit more property crime going on there. So yeah, a little bit more like police activity is reported there. It's not like crazy. You would definitely just have like a lot more townhomes as well. So if you're looking for like your first stepping stone home, I've got a lot of buyers looking there for that reason. Certainly if you're looking for like an established neighborhood or like a bigger home with a backyard, then that's going to be further north. We're actually going to show you those areas next. So we've come out of the historic neighborhoods, seen some nice changing of the leaves, and we're driving through to a cross section now. We'll continue down this way and go down Hazel Avenue. I could cheat and jump on I-5 because you can see in front of me there's a big cross section. I-5 is coming up over that intersection. We're not going to cheat. We'll go down this way and show you some more of the neighborhoods. I mean, you guys have already seen highways, so there's no point showing you what I-5 looks like. Freeways really look the same anywhere you go. It's the whole point of having an interstate is to go interstate. Y'all don't need to see that. I'm going to keep you off the freeways as much as possible this video. In fact, if I can avoid it at all costs, that'll be the goal. So you see a C-Tran bus that we just passed by. Somebody was asking me, does Vancouver have public transport? Vancouver does. We don't have the Mac station up here. That's a little cool restaurant that we just passed on the right. It's such a hole in the wall that you actually pass and you don't even know it's there. I went on a date night there once. Really good food. Vancouver's not going to have as many like brew pubs and bars as you pass by. It's not like Portland where you'll see one every other spot, but you are going to see some, and I'll make sure to point them out as we go. Beautiful colors here. But yeah, as far as public transit, there are buses. There's the C-Tran, and those actually even go into Portland, cross the bridge, and then you can connect with other public transport. I would say that a lot more people moving to Vancouver are car dependent, and they're looking for a yard. They're looking for a newer home or a bigger home. I typically see someone shopping in Vancouver looking at $500,000 plus as a purchase price for a home. Of course, if you are watching this and you're just trying to get yourself oriented with Vancouver, then definitely reach down at this phone number. Feel free to pause the video here, take a screenshot. Now, we're passing through these massive high voltage power lines, which actually follow the whole way through. They'll actually go all the way past, and you'll see a lot of farmland, or people like do little gardens underneath them. And there's actually a dog park all the way on the other end, probably another 6 or 7 miles that way. We might get to that by the end of the video. Some lovely Mormons walking by. I'd say Vancouver up to Ridgefield is fairly, you definitely have, it's not like Mormon heavy, I wouldn't say that, but I definitely notice more Mormons up here than, say, in Portland. If Portland's got the highest, Portland's got like the highest atheist population per capita. Vancouver's definitely a little bit more family oriented from like kind of, how would you say it? You definitely see a lot more people moving here with kids, like the data shows it. It's also interesting to see that the data reflects that higher income earners have started to move to Vancouver, whereas Portland's average income has started to drop. And you actually see that in stuff like, I think it reflects in stuff like the downtown waterfronts now being built up for people that like want to go out and show off you saw those weekend cars I was talking about. It seems like the downtown Vancouver waterfront's built for people that we're not talking like ultra wealthy or anything crazy. We're just talking about like, dual income. You're not making a killing, but you're doing enough to make it by. So you want to show a few of the restaurants and stuff in here? This is one thing I will say about Vancouver, is that you're going to have stuff like Buffalo Wild Wings right there, and then you're going to have Five Guys. You've got like Holyer Pet Mart. Like, it's not that Portland doesn't have that. It's more that Vancouver is a lot more comfortable with, how would you say it? Like, Portland's got a little bit of a kickback against corporate culture and corporate America, so everything there is like farm to table, organic. And it's not that Vancouver doesn't have that, it's just that Vancouver's also very comfortable with being what it is, which is a suburb. So you have all your modern conveniences. You've got like all the restaurants that you wouldn't want to miss out on if it was like, you got an In-N-Out Burger opening up, that's opened up in Ridgefield, been open for a month or two now. You've got Costco's everywhere, you've got Walmart's. Whereas you've definitely noticed a trend of those places moving out of Portland, like Walmart's moved out of Portland. So not to compare it too much, but like Vancouver's definitely a little bit more of, and it's, I think, why when people are relocating and they're moving from other states, it makes sense that Vancouver's a little bit more like the rest of America, just in that it's got everything else you'd expect to see in the rest of America. You got a Safeway here. This is the Hazel Dell marketplace. So we're up in Hazel Dell now, passing by 81st. We'll hook on to 99th and take you out to Felida. And then we'll hook back around and go through Hazel Dell, I think. So we're going through an area that has some apartments, some condos. we're getting up almost to the point where you're going to see a lot of homes coming up, and I'll take you through a couple of the neighborhoods to give you a kind of good idea about what that's all about. So you got a Target here. There's actually a nice little brew pub over there in that strip mall. It's the Hazel Town Center. All right, now we're outside of Vancouver city limits. So there's Vancouver city limits, then there's Vancouver, and then you get into places like, we're not going to take you to Ridgefield or Camas or Washougal today. Definitely drop a comment below. I've done a Ridgefield walkthrough already to show you what Ridgefield's like. We've definitely been to Camas a lot. I need to make a specific video for you guys showcasing everything about Camas, do a drive-through, show you Camas Lake, show you the different areas, show you like the places where you can buy near the Camas meadows where you're on a golf course. So you got like a Dutch Bros here. Dutch Bros started in Medford, Oregon, but they've definitely rapidly expanded. They've jumped, I think they IPO'd like a year or two ago. So you can own them as a stock now. You might have had Dutch Bros where you're from because they've just expanded so quickly. Yeah, and you've got a lot of like different coffee chains up in Portland. I mean, you've obviously got your Starbucks, and pizza's kind of fallen off a little bit. But you've got Black Rock, you've got the Human Bean, you've got Brewed Awakening up here. But then you've got some smaller, like on 39th where we just came from. If you were to rewind like 5 or 10 minutes into this video, there's Cafe Latte Da. This is a beautiful little coffee shop with outdoor and indoor seating. Kind of your traditional coffee shop where you can sit down, order something. I go there all the time. And then we just passed by Highway 99 where we'll actually hook back around and show you. Don't want to spoil anything. So we're now going down 99 from Hazel, and we're going to shoot out to kind of the Felida, Salmon Creek area. This is actually getting into some pretty prime real estate. And this will be Columbia River High School, just to the right here. So it's got a track and field. It's one of the major high schools in Vancouver. It's like 3 high schools in Vancouver. It's one of like the B-rated. Ridgefield's got its own school district. Camas has obviously got its own A+ school district. Got Camas is definitely the cream of the crop when it comes to high schools. Washougal's right there with Columbia River High School, kind of like a B+. And these are according to like niche.com ratings, but also just what you hear from parents that take their kids there. Because obviously an internet rating is going to be one thing, but what people actually say about the school is a little bit more important. You know, Vancouver's also got a couple private schools. Kingsway Christian, Satan Catholic School. There's an art school in downtown Vancouver that's really good, like top rated. So yeah, there's definitely different education options for people living in Vancouver. Vancouver's also a community where you might see like a few more people that homeschool or do like charter schooling. Those are definitely options I've seen some parents implement. So yeah, there's definitely there's like just so many different ways to skin a cat, like how you educate your kids. It's definitely a conversation in Vancouver, one that the public schools are still great though. So if you're moving up with kids, then you definitely shouldn't be too worried about the education system here. And Washington's education is just so much better than Oregon's. Oregon's like number 47 out of 50 states. whereas Washington is like in the middle of the pack. It's good. Vancouver's just a very well-run city. They definitely stretch every dollar. You know, you hear people grumble about property taxes increasing, but quite honestly, it's like a drop in the bucket. It's just a little bit more libertarian, and I think it's just part of Vancouver's identity to kind of get upset when stuff increases. I mean, nobody likes it, but I don't ever get the sense that like city officials are, for the most part, naive or unaware of the fact that, you know, most Vancouver residents aren't the biggest fan of paying more taxes than necessary and being conscious of that, you know. I think Vancouver's conscious of the fact that majority of the people aren't going to be super happy if cost of living goes up too much. Whereas I think Portland's a little bit more detached from that. I think Portland's beautiful neighborhood on the lakes here. So we're going to cut into one of these neighborhoods just to show you kind of a more established. So this is Felida, where you got a lot of cool, eclectic. Like there's a pub house, Mahoney's, right there. And then you're going to see really what I consider is a great little neighborhood. So you even got a new listing right here. You got kids walking on this retaining wall, being kids. They're yelling. Nice little park here. These are some really pretty homes. And Vancouver Lake, funny enough, it actually tucks up around here, so the lake isn't actually too far from here. We're just going to kind of take you around and show you this specific neighborhood, which this is Felida. Nice little neighborhood. Guys just waved at me. He's a car guy. He probably saw me driving my car. Car guys are telekinetic. We know when one exists. Again, this is Felida. Beautiful modern homes. Funny enough, you actually get some of the older ranch homes. This is looking out. Oh, I wish I could show you that. I would be trespassing if I pulled out onto that driveway accidentally to turn around. I mean, what the heck? They're not going to say anything. I'm going to show you. So these are big, beautiful, established homes. You could expect to pay $800,000 plus for homes in this neighborhood. Definitely more HOA. Like, you can see there's an eclectic enough variety of homes in here. All more modern, contemporary. This is actually the old 60s or 70s ranch, and it looks vacant. I'm just going to quickly bounce over, and you can see through the trees there the Vancouver Lake appearing, to just give you an idea of the views that some of these people have. You know, I don't want to spend too much time in this person's driveway. It's definitely apparent nobody's home. I'm just going to turn around in it really quickly. Ask for very wide driveway. You just ask for permission, ask for forgiveness. Vancouver people are nice though, and I don't want to, you know, impose on anybody. Just to show you, there's a little view there. That neighbor waved. I think a wave test is always a good way to tell you if it's a friendly neighborhood too. People in Vancouver aren't going to care that much. It's a little private drive that goes down there. We're not going to go down that way. Of course, if anybody ever like comes out, it's happened a couple times where you pull out and anybody's ever like, hey, what are you doing? Roll down the window. Hey, sorry. Wanted to see the view really quickly. They'll tell you what's up. We're just pulling around a little cul-de-sac here to just give you one more little shot of this beautiful little neighborhood. Yeah, that's a nice little ranch home with a 3-car garage. So actually, this home right here, we're just passing by it. 3-car garage, single level. They don't make a lot of them, but they're in high demand. And I can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can actually, these two right here are a little bit smaller, so you could probably even get those in the 650s to 7s. Obviously, I'm doing a fly-by CMA or comparative market analysis and kind of giving you a guesstimate of what these homes are worth. Don't want to spend too much time in this neighborhood because there's other neighborhoods to show. You can see there's a new listing that way, and those homes are a little bit more condensed, a little bit more smaller lot. We're going to shoot up, show you Salmon Creek walking trail, and then we'll probably take you over 99 and then down. I like that idea. You know, this is definitely a little bit more of a off-the-cuff video. I don't have, like, I know where I'm going. And I've also looked at the map and kind of laid it out and said, what's the best path for my viewers to see here? Get a really good idea of Vancouver. Obviously, if you're doing this yourself, you can go any which way. I mean, there's already like 20 other roads or streets that I wish I'd kind of just taken you down like that. But for the sake of keeping this video at like an hour, we're not going to get too crazy. We are going to show you a lot of different pockets here. And it's just a good way to get to know an area. Is just drive around, get to know it. That's in like an established 90s neighborhood. So you'll kind of see like the different patterns where the developments kind of broke out. The one that I took you before previously was closer to just 10 years old. And then you see such a beautiful area. Even like the way and now we're coming up on 119th is where I want to take you. Because you got Senor Taps, tacos, tequila, beer. If you want to show them, Sree, just this cool little front. I really love that area. Great place to grab a bite. And that's Felida for you. Just kind of a nice little getaway spot. Newer modern construction, like clean, contemporary living. You're definitely not like Camas or Cascade Parks or anything like in the southeast corner, but because the schooling is closer to a B, so if you're more like retired and you're looking for the best living and schools are like a B to you, then that's my area. Now we're coming through what I think is a value area because you're getting sucked in by all this cool development. But a lot of these homes here that we're about to pass through are 70s to 90s. And it's not like the apartment townhome living of Vancouver where you're very condensed housing. Everybody's still got a big backyard here. You still get a lot of quiet suburbs. We're going to push through a little bit because I want to show you a slight separation from Felida and then give you an idea of what more of like a slight budget neighborhood, like more of the $500 to $600,000 range. And kind of give you, obviously this is like a guesstimate, like don't look at the specific home I drive by when I say it and be like, oh, that one is actually 625 and you said 600. This is more of like you get homes like that, like just slightly smaller yard. You know, maybe you're on an 8,000 square foot lot, not a 10,000. Maybe your home is 2,400 square feet, not 32. You know, maybe the home was built in 2005, not 2018. And maybe the neighborhood is just slightly less pristine than, you know, not quite a 10 out of 10, but it's an 8 out of 10. Like, still beautiful neighborhood. So, I want to check that the mic's still going strong. Mic check. All right, we're about to pull off into one of these neighborhoods, and then I'll show you. Going to give you a quick mic check. We're good on the mic. No. It's more main road-ish. Let's just keep going for a little bit. And we're heading back into Hazel. There'll be Starcrest in here. The Salmon Creek area. I want to show you the Salmon Creek walking trail, which goes all along here. And the homes actually over here are really beautiful because they look out over this beautiful nature funnel that Salmon Creek walking trail, and that pushes that way. So this is actually another top area to live, is just right here. You can actually see the trees funnel, and I think you're going to get a glimpse of it coming up here. So yeah, you've got the Salmon Creek Sports Complex, but you can see out the window here, all those trees are in a valley. And that's just where there's tons of nature. There's a creek that goes through. And there's a sports complex just to the left here. There's even like a little lake where you can swim just right over here. Taking the family out here. So I think you might have had your second birthday at the Salmon Creek Lake. We had everybody out, or was it your first birthday? We'll detour through a neighborhood here pretty soon. I kind of want to stick close to Salmon Creek to give you an idea of this area. And you can actually see the lake. I can see the lake just through there. That's Salmon Creek Park right there. Would highly recommend. Really love that area. And I'm going to show you another established favorite in this neighborhood. A place where everybody just loves to go there. And that is coming up here. I believe it's just, there's a ton of cars through the car cam. But it'll be on your left. You can see, I think it's actually like an old mine right here. That's where like an old quarry is, where that Salmon Creek water hole is. And now it's just on the left right here, but it's Chuck's Produce, Fresh Market. Let's just drive through the parking lot to show you that Chuck's Produce is a store started by Seventh-day Adventists. And Seventh-day Adventists are holistic, I think, like vegan. That's not to say I don't think everything in Chuck's is vegan, but like kind of more of that healthy living. I'm not trying to get into religion on purpose. I'm just giving you a reason for why. You're good, Sarah. We got the front camera covering it. You can just look at me. There's somebody dressed as a witch there. So yeah, this is Chuck's Produce. Kind of like a New Seasons, but a lot more affordable and like specific to Vancouver. So definitely a really worthy store of checking out. And this gets you into like, there's a medical facility up here. Legacy is up here. Salmon Creek Medical Center. There is a hospital up here if you're like needing to be within 10-20 minutes of a hospital. I think that's what makes this pocket so great for people that have medical needs or retiring. And then maybe we'll get a quick glimpse of, because I can't U-turn here, which might benefit the viewer. So I'll actually see what that's just a little farmland there. Not going to show you anything crazy. You know, and sometimes you roll through a neighborhood in Vancouver and it just reminds you that Vancouver was originally like the original affordable housing area in Vancouver. Like, it wasn't always the bee's knees. So I'm just going to zoom in here to give you a small idea of, there's like a lake down there. It's not going to give you the best view. Like, it's actually a little bit of a walk to get in there. But there's just lots of pockets like that in Vancouver where you've got little natural spots to go. All right, we've successfully done a legal U-turn. Actually, show it right there. Well, that's actually the runoff area of Salmon Creek. So that's not even the actual lake. The lake is a little bit further that way. But as the name suggests, you do have salmon coming through that creek. All right, we're going to hook a right onto Highway 99. And then we'll take you to 99 and 99. This is like, yeah, the area where the streets do get confusing. And this is Vancouver, not the city. So it's Clark County unincorporated. You get a little bit more of a break on your property taxes. The fireworks are a lot more lax. City of Vancouver, you can't blast off massive mortars. In this area, it's important to note, as some of my viewers wish they had known when they moved to Brush Prairie, is that, yeah, fireworks do go off in this part of Vancouver quite significantly. Beautiful sunset happening. I'm going to let Serenity take a vote right now. Well, we're actually losing sunlight. Do you mind if there is a BurgerVille here, and we're going to get you a milkshake, but let's do the BurgerVille further down near Cascade Parks. Is that okay? Got 180 miles on the tank. We've been going for 51 minutes here. I really enjoy showing people around. We just got done showing, Serenity 3 homes to somebody in Vancouver. Was it 3? Yeah, and she had her mom with her and her sons. And really just enjoy showing people homes in the area. I just always wake up and think, like, how cool is it that I can show people the place they're going to live and, like, place roots for and talk about it. Like, sometimes you start to get to know an area and you're like, all right, this isn't for me. And I love helping people through that because I don't like people feeling pressure to, like, they have to do this. There's a donuts place here and a great pizza shop just off of 99th here with a cycling theme. Really cool spot. Forgot the name of the pizza shop, but it's right here. And yeah, it's a cycle theme. And then there's Cascadia Bros has got a food carts pub here. There's lots of, like, cool little shops that you can pop in at these strip malls. You've got a WinCo right there. So WinCo is Washington, Idaho, Nevada, Colorado, Oregon? I don't think it's California. If anybody knew that about WinCo, it's like a chain that started as cash only as a way to, like, you know, when the banks failed, like, a lot of people were hiding their money under the mattresses. WinCo was cash only for the longest time. Because of that, there's a BurgerVille. And I'm going to take you through one of the neighborhoods that's kind of borrows from that awesome Felida energy. Like, still great. Definitely more affordable. You got a few townhomes up there, and you've actually got some townhomes against 99th. Some of the better townhomes tend to be tucked in closer to the single-family residences because you get a lot more people that take care of the property. Like, typically a townhome is lived in for like 5 years, and then it gets turned into a rental, which is very smart. Like, I'm not bashing people for doing that, but I mean, everybody knows it, that a tenant's not going to take care of a place. Some will. You know, you have good tenants. I had some neighbors that were renting and they loved the place. They treated the yard like it was their own. They did a ton of yard work. And I was actually surprised when I was talking to them. I was like, how long have you lived here? And I might have even said, how long have you owned the place? And they said, oh no, we rent here. And so some people are very content to be good renters, but a good renter's about as common as a bad homeowner. Like, if you own the home, you care about it. If you don't, even if it's not like you're trashing the place, it's just if you're not getting paid to keep up with landscaping, you're probably going to mow the lawn and, like, just make sure there's no weeds, but the contract typically doesn't call for a lot more, rake the leaves. It's Glacier Middle School right there, which feeds into Columbia River High School. We're getting to the top of a hill here. cut through, and then we'll go south to end the video, because we're at 55 minutes right now. Again, I really enjoy showing people around. We're at 6:35, so the sun would have just set. And you can see that, like, even though we're at Friday, starting at about what would have been just past 5:30 p.m. when we started at Vancouver, that was not that busy. I mean, it was busy, but you're still in a really small town feel. Kids going by on the scooter. So this is in the Hazel neighborhood now, or 94th Avenue, and this is just where you would get like a $500,000 home. You'd still get a nice yard. Here's some power lines that I was talking about that we just passed by that go over. But yeah, you just get nice mid-2000s homes. Nothing crazy. Is that a bat? I'm sure you saw a bat. Yeah, we actually used to live in this neighborhood, Sarah. You would have been... How old would have you been? You would have been like 1 year old when we moved here to this specific neighborhood.
Like on this road?
Yeah, well, actually just back there. So there are some nice tucked in trees here. I'm taking you through a neighborhood that represents kind of an eclectic mix. Shown a lot of homes here. I've sold a lot of homes here. I help people move into this neighborhood all the time. You can actually see just how many kids are out on the street here. And then this is kind of like your in-between, where these homes right here are detached. They almost look like townhomes, but they're not. They're detached. And these would go for about just under 5 in that range. Speed bumps. You can see pretty decent parking. It doesn't get too flooded. So now over that way, we've gone from the northwest side. We started in the southwest part of Vancouver, northwest. We're now in the northeast pocket. And if you were to continue north and east, you'd get into Brush Prairie and Battleground, which a lot of people love that area. We're now getting into the more and more affordable single-family residences. And you'll actually see that the vibe doesn't change terribly. In that, like, you're getting affordability without sacrificing quality of life. Quality of living, like, you're still in a fairly safe neighborhood as the statistics line up and how people report it. You're definitely a little bit more busy, or definitely a little bit more working class families are moving out in this area. And then we'll end up in an area where it's kind of another luxury spot. Got geese flying overhead, migration happening. You're definitely, when you're living in the Northwest, living in an area where the 4 seasons are pretty pronounced. Not quite as pronounced as the Northeast part of the United States, but definitely a little bit more pronounced than other areas. We're in the fall and the colors are definitely changing over. Starting to get colder. You see the cycles of nature happening with the animals. This right here is actually a wetlands area. And one thing to know when you're driving through Vancouver is some areas, like Vancouver is actually originally built on a swamp, almost like DC, Washington, DC. In that there are pockets that are in flood zones. Not like very many. It's not to say that Vancouver is one massive flood zone. Don't take that away from what I'm saying. But definitely, like in this pocket right here, the reason that it's all commercial is because it's in a flood zone, and residential flood insurance is just kind of more problematic. So one thing to look out for if you're concerned about being in a flood area is that when you see like railroad or small pockets of water or commercial area, or mobile homes is another one where, because mobile homes aren't real property, they're totally fine putting mobile home parks in a flood zone, which seems kind of... So that's Satan Catholic High School. That's what I'm talking about. They got a high school football Friday night lights going on. You've got some new like middle housing happening over on the left here. You've got Costco wholesale right out the right front of the camera. And then you've got another bunch of like strip mall type options as far as restaurants, shopping options. You know, if you wanted to grab a bite to eat and you lived in this area, this would be a common place to go. But yeah, Costco's just right there. You've also got a Costco down in Cascade Parks, and then a Costco up in Ridgefield that just opened up. So I know Costco's very popular for people that love to buy in bulk. You got a Home Depot right here, so for all your handyman projects. You got a Starbucks. Tons of little strip mall options. We're starting to get pretty dark, but I know the good thing about the iPhone is that it's good at handling low light. We did just hit the 1 hour mark, so we might actually cheat here. I'm just going to say we're going to jump on 205, but it'll be a good opportunity to show you one last area in Vancouver, and also just kind of show you what traffic's like 6:30 p.m. on a Friday going south. We'll show you some traffic, and then we'll end the video getting some BurgerVille milkshakes, which I am excited for. BurgerVille's a local legend, obviously In-N-Out's creeping in. Comment below if you've been to either and which one you prefer. You know, BurgerVille is a little bit more expensive, and I love their milkshakes, but they are a little bit on the spendy side, so I'm not like necessarily pulling for them. Now this is Patton Parkway, which hooks all the way up, and if you can see on the car cam, maybe there's like some hills in the distance. That gets up into like really the farmland and really where you're getting out into the woods. Some beautiful acreage properties out there. It's also where you're going to start seeing Bigfoot and mountain lions, and snow becomes a little bit more of a challenge. Yeah, I mean, so Vancouver, you've kind of seen a decent chunk of the city so far. And if you're moving out here, like you're kind of planning your trip and you're thinking, what's my next steps? Then I'm here to have a conversation to go over, because we even with all of this, like you're watching a long video of me driving through a huge chunk of Vancouver. There's just still so much of Vancouver that remains to be seen. Like obviously when you start walking and putting boots on the ground, the dynamic really changes. So definitely reach down right here if you're thinking of moving to Vancouver. I would love to help you make that move. My favorite thing to do, I really love helping people make that move. It's really one of my favorite things is to hand the keys on key day, and not just that, but follow up with people. Once you become a client, you become a friend. And it's just so true that I still keep up with a lot of people that have relocated and bought a home with me. We have client appreciation parties once a year, where you get food, drink, everything on me. We go mini golfing and all that. So we're coming up on the 500 split, which is, remember that arrowhead? We started near the top of the arrowhead, and now we're passing the 500 exit. So that's the 500, which would take you to I-5. Nice little shortcut. And the Vancouver Mall is over here. So Vancouver Mall is where you're going to have a lot of your townhomes, but you're also got the shopping center. And then Vancouver Mall is pretty lively. Like, I know a lot of commercial spaces have been starting to shut down, but Vancouver Mall is definitely one of them that not as much definitely still has quite a bit of activity, is going strong. We're going down 205 South to the southeast section, and we will kind of finish by showing you one of the southeast neighborhoods that puts you up against Camas. So it's kind of competing with Camas in that more luxury living. You've got a 55 plus community down there, which I did a video on, that's right on the golf course, Fairway Village. And those are all homes right on the golf links. A few condos and townhomes available. But yeah, those ones can be had from like 500 to like, 700, 750. Some more outdated models, some 70s homes. You definitely get a lot more of the 70s homes down in this corner, because this is where Vancouver originally expanded from, is in this lower belt. And then it slowly expanded from there. We're really challenging my local knowledge by looking for a BurgerVille without Google Maps. Notice how I've been going through without the maps the whole time. And even like, I don't know if this is true for you, but if you're a local to the area and you've become kind of configured to use Google Maps all the time just to make sure traffic, tells you when there's a cop there or obstruction on the road, you kind of start losing the local knowledge of the area. I do drive this place so often though that it'd be really hard for me to forget. But that does happen, is that every once in a while you just need to turn off the maps and take the drive and not go on the freeways. And really just kind of get acquainted with the area. These drives are just such a great way to get to know a community. You do the wave test. People don't wave at you. You drive through, you see if the kids are walking on the neighborhood. We saw quite a few neighborhoods here where kids were out walking. So, yeah, it's certainly a way to test if it's a good place for you to live. You can see some dark clouds coming up here, and rain is getting ready to fall. We're starting to get really dark really early as well. I used to have the privilege of I could video until like 9 p.m. And now without a nice powerful iPhone, we'd be shooting in the dark almost. How's my face showing up, Srini? Fine. Okay. So that's the 205 bridge. If I were to continue straight, that shoots you down into like East Portland and into the airport. Now we're taking a hook onto 14. I told you 14's that first one. If I were to take a right here where this car is cutting me off for no reason, if I were to take a right, we would actually go all the way down and follow it, and we can actually end up right where we started. So we're kind of ending back on the corner close to where we began, but we're going to go left. 14 will take you to Camas, Washougal. You keep going, you're through the gorge, past Rooster Rock, which is an amazing hike. Obviously the Columbia Gorge on the Oregon side is famous for Multnomah Falls, but very similarly, Vancouver's got some Beacon Rock, is what I meant. Did I say Rooster Rock? I'm thinking of the park that's actually on the Oregon side. Beacon Rock is this huge rock that you can hike up on the Washington side. So yeah. So where we're going now is the Cascade Park neighborhood. And the thing that really sets this place apart is that you've got Costco, but then you're kind of, just like we saw Hazel, Dell, kind of pulling from Felida. I like these hip neighborhoods, or I meant attached at the hip neighborhoods, where you're kind of siphoning off, for a lack of better words, you're siphoning off of all the accumulated success of a nice, bougie, established neighborhood, doing really good things and making a great place, and you're the neighborhood right next to it. And then you naturally get the fallout, or the keep using negative words, but it's a good thing. You get the positive repercussions of being so close to such a nice area. that is also the Cascade Park Fisher's Landing area, which in their own right are great areas to be because you've got Costco, you've got all the amenities. We're going to jump up on 164th, and you've got a lot of industry. You've got the huge Peace Health facility just up. That'd be further behind me over my left shoulder. But you've got Fisher's Investments is a really big firm up here. You got Hyosera, which is like a South Korean cell phone company, parts company. But then you got like a lot of satellite campuses. You got like even like, people wouldn't know it, but like Facebook has got a little satellite campus up here. A lot of tech have their offices up actually off of this 164th area. And my old office was actually at this tech center plaza. Mine's actually now near the Vancouver Mall. Which is just a good thing to actually bring up right now, because if you are wanting to meet, some people love to meet for coffee, and I get a coffee, I'm happy to do that. Others want my big fancy TV screen, and they say, hey, I want to meet, consult you as a real estate agent and talk about purchasing a home. And I can actually pull up a massive screen and we can browse together on my computer and go over like whether it's properties or the home buying process. Whatever it is, we can do that in my very own commercial office, which is in the center of everything we've done today. So we're going up 164th. That's Fisher's Landing just to our right. And believe it or not, I've actually navigated this entire video without consulting the maps. You've got a cool little growler spot to fill up your growler here, and you can actually just see how quickly, if you just noticed how quickly the sun went out, that's actually happens a lot more frequently or more drastically as the winter dawns upon us. We get a lights out very quickly. Come about December 21st is the longest day on the calendar, and so we're a couple months from that. But as November rolls around, you start getting kind of colder, murkier nights. This is a chill October evening. We're now down to 58 degrees, so not quite milkshake territory, but we're gonna do it. Serenity has earned herself a BurgerVille milkshake, haven't you, Serenity? She's smiling. And I'm gonna have trusty Serenity tell me when she sees that BurgerVille come up. I know it's coming up. We're not getting McDonald's. We're not going cheap on you, Serenity. You deserve the BurgerVille milkshake. She's won this one. Hard fought. Do you know what kind of milkshake you're gonna get already? I said I'd leave moments of silence, but did I just...
There it is.
There it is. Chat, did I yap for an entire hour?
Yep.
Don't you love it? I've got the gift of the gab. I didn't think I could talk for over an hour straight. So you got a Fred Meyer here. Fred Meyer Fuel. Great place to fuel up. See, people are just kind of strolling around. Nice October evening. One layer. Join us as we make it through the drive-thru. Okay. What kind of milkshake do you want, Serenity? They got...
Welcome to BurgerVille. We can get started for you.
We're gonna do two 12-ounce milkshakes. Wow. Let's give a round of applause to Serenity, who did a really good job here. The sun is setted, which is not a word. Sat. The sun is sat in the west. The sun is seated.
Set.
The sun is set in the west. And here we are, completing the adventure. Did you think we would make it? I will go the distance for you in finding you the house. I can do these marathons all day. They're not a big deal. For Serenity, she she needs a milkshake to make it happen, which is totally acceptable. I think a milkshake for an hour of filming. I think I need to pay you more, sorry. But thank you for watching this video. I really do. If you're still watching this and you watched me talk for an hour, it must mean that you are either really bored or you really like me, which means that you should definitely reach out right here and start a conversation. I promise not to dominate the conversation like in this video. Like, I'm just trying to fill content and give you some insight into the area. But I just want to make sure that you're heard. I will promise that you'll be doing most of the talking, and I'll just ask some questions about what you're looking to do. Watch this video next. We'll cut to those milkshakes. Thanks for watching this video. Subscribe, reach out. Would love to have a conversation, and I'll see you next week.